Hackney here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I like to speak to everyone in the book community, whether they be authors, illustrators, podcasters, or industry professionals. And today I have an illustrator who has over 15 published books, been working with major publishing houses, and I can't wait to speak with her. Please welcome Jade Goodwin.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jade. I can't wait to just dive in, talk about your amazing career. Can you please tell us all a little bit about yourself and how this journey started for you?
Absolutely. So I'm a proud Gamilaroi woman, and I grew up as a really little girl, spending a lot of time in my grandparents' screen printing studio. They had, would just do all the local soccer jerseys and sports teams and things like that. My cousins and I used to wander around there like it was this magical place. But, we were never allowed to use the screen printing stuff. It was just the endless amount of paper and giant rolls of sticky tape and staples, which I had to be very careful with. But I used to make all these little envelopes and put little drawings in there and stuff. So I think, that's where everything really started for me. And I say to people like, uh, I think me and illustrating is almost like a rom-com movie where they're going to end up together, but they just go the most unconventional way around to get there. But the viewer's screaming at it, going like, "Oh my God, hurry up!" That's how I feel anyway. Um,
I can
yeah.
I can see that because I do. I love your work. It's very captivating. But how did you know that? So you started like as a little kid, making little pictures, going to the screen place, with your cousins. But at what point did you know you could do something with that?
Um, it took me a long time. I didn't ever think of illustration as a career. It just wasn't really obvious to me. I knew I loved art, I loved design. I did art in high school and I did design in high school. And then when I left, I was not sure what to do. And I ended up, I think, enrolling in fine art in uni. I felt so out of depth because I didn't know how to use oil paints. I wasn't good at still life drawing. I'm very uh, my style is very suitable for an illustrator, but I didn't think of that as an option at the time. So I ended up dropping out of fine art in semester one because I just was not having a good time. Because, I felt like everything had to mean something. And I was like, oh, it's just a picture of someone holding a flower. And then I ended up studying a few design courses that were just like 1 year kind of things. And then it wasn't until I bought my first iPad just as a hobby. Um, my partner was like, "Oh, you're getting really good at this. You should start an Instagram just to document your process." And I was like, "Oh, no, no, it's just for me. It's fine." And he was like, "No, you should. You should." A few months later, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it just to share with my family and friends, so they can see what I'm doing and make stuff for them." And then it just kind of took off into something more than I could ever imagine.
And that's such an amazing journey as well, because you are incredibly successful, like the Ash Barty series and also all the other books you've done. Like, did you ever think it would get to this point?
No, no. And I got my first book contract. I was like, oh wow, this is exciting. Cool. I'll have a picture book out in the world. And then I started doing it and I was like, I came, through the back door kind of. I feel I meet so many wonderful, amazing, talented people, even ones who aren't published yet, authors and illustrators, and they work so hard and they really are so wonderful at what they do. And they go through this big open door, and I just feel like I've come in the back door, and I'm like, oh, hello, I'm trying to figure out how all of this works. Um, and yeah, I kind of have, uh, I want to say fake it till you make it, but I don't feel like I'm faking it. I'm just, trying to figure it out as I'm doing it. I think I figured it out all pretty quickly. But yeah, just how the publishing and kidlit world works.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And also thank you for acknowledging it's not just the ones who are published. It's the whole community. Everyone's so talented
Yeah.
and inspiring and enthusiastic. It's hard not to open the door and let yourself in.
Yeah.
So that very first contract,
Mm.
which it would have been just amazing just to get that news that your illustrations are the ones that have been picked for this book. How, being your first contract, what was the timeline with that one there? Like, how long were you given to start and then finish?
Oh, that is a great question. It's been pretty unconventional. So, my first contract was for a picture book published with Penguin. It's a book with an author called Jemima Shafeongu. And it's actually not published yet. It's been 3 years. There's been so many just weird things that's happened. We've gone through three publishers in-house, just going on maternity leave and someone swapping to a different role. So it's been people picking it up again and picking it up again. And then Jemima and I have been like, okay, we start again and we start again. So it's wrapped up now and it's coming out in February next year. So I can't remember what the initial timeline was anymore for that because it's been a long time coming, but it will be so worth it when it's out there.
So, do you feel with the books when you do get a contract and it's a brand new character, and I guess this refers to more that the Ash Barty part of
Mm,
it all,
yeah.
because that character's established. It's not like you need to think of too much. You're really just repeating the same character. Does it get quicker in those circumstances, or does it take you the same time frame every book, regardless whether it's a familiar character or not?
Um, I feel like it gets quicker. I feel like my skills get better and the process does get faster sometimes. It depends on, it's hard being a full-time creative, just jumping in and being like, okay, my brain's just going to talk to my hand and it's just going to work because it's not always like that. It gets really frustrating sometimes. I still draw bad, but that's part of the process and it's okay. And then sometimes I draw great and I'm like, who did that? Because that does not feel like I did that. Where did that come from? Yeah, it does get quicker. Especially with Ash, I'm so familiar with drawing her now because of the 10 Little Ash books and then Tennis Camp and then My Dream for You, the picture book. Although I wasn't too sure about My Dream for You because babies are incredibly hard to draw. And I was very sleep deprived when trying to draw that at the start, and I almost gave it back. But then luckily, I've worked with that publisher plenty of times before. They knew me. They were like, just get some rest, don't do anything over the weekend, and just try again on Monday. And then I was like, okay, sleep. Who knew sleep is this magical thing that helps?
Yeah, to reset, especially.
Yeah.
So with yourself as an illustrator, because you've got quite a few books there, what are now the challenges you find? Because I'm guessing that the challenges you had at the beginning to the challenges you have now are completely different. So how do they all look for you?
Um, Challenges now are like pushing myself, pushing the visual narrative, really trying to, especially with picture books, make that, almost like sub story in the visuals. So it's interesting for readers. It's not just reading the words and looking at the pictures. And, I've been spending a lot of time in libraries recently, and it's so interesting watching parents read to kids. And I'm like, wow, that's so beautiful when kids are just like next to within the pages. And I'm like, oh, my heart just
Don't look.
but
Don't
but
look.
it's good to see that and be like, okay, good to know, the audience that we buy picture books for. Um, uh, Sorry, I've completely forgotten what your question was. I feel like I
Oh
was
no, the challenge
remembering.
is now because you're so established.
Oh, yes, sorry,
The
thank
challenge
you.
is now as opposed to when you first started.
Um, I think now I realize how isolating the process can be of making. There's, so many ways to be involved in the community and stuff, but still at the end of the day, I'm sitting here alone, often drawing, or I go out to a cafe or something, and but still, it's really challenging to wake up every day and just be like, work on a project that I pour my heart and soul into and I genuinely love, but then being like, oh, I'm just here and I wait for someone to go home so I can go, look what I drew today. Almost like coming home from school and being like, wow. Um, that's really challenging sometimes. But, I think it's the great power of social media, connecting with people and being in groups like I'm part of the Cardboard Box Illustrators group, which is really wonderful and lovely. Um, yeah, and I guess it's challenging doing this full time as well, having to be switched on creatively full time or know what's coming next and juggle because I am working on quite a few projects at once. Um, they usually will come out on time, but the deadlines will shift a little bit to accommodate like things I might have to tweak or whatnot. So it's challenging flipping that all around and trying to make it work while also getting enough rest. So I am like creatively refreshed and not just going from the next thing to the next thing and not having any time.
That must be really difficult to juggle, especially when different inspirations for different projects, and then just having to work on it. That must be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, even sorry.
No, no, you go. You go.
Even I'll be almost finished this one spread on a book and I'm like suddenly thinking about, oh, this other book that would be really amazing if I added this in. And it's not that I don't love the book I'm working on any less. I'm just like, I'm done with this for a bit now. But my deadline's like in a few days. So I have to just keep tinkering and push through.
Do you take every job that's on offer?
No, I have turned a few things down just schedule wise. And one thing I just didn't feel like I was the right person for it, which I felt, it's hard. It's very hard to say no and things like that. But I've seen the series come out from it now and it looks so gorgeous. And I know it was the right thing for me not to take.
No, I completely understand. So with your career and having worked with Ash Barty, are there any other authors you would just love to work with?
Um, Not off the top of my head. There's so many unpublished people that I would love to work with because I think they're just amazing. And I've had the opportunity to read some of their stuff, and I just go, God, I just want to grab publishers by the shoulder and be like, publish this. um, no, I don't know. Um, I don't really think so. There's so many wonderful, amazing writers, but um, I don't have a list of people. Um, I should write it down and start manifesting a whole lot of big things. But no, I'm trying to read more of it so I can maybe try writing myself, but it doesn't come naturally to me. I've never very good at creative writing. I'm just instantly a visual person.
No, I understand. So because I know some authors out there, when they submit their manuscript, sometimes they'll put a little note in going, this illustrator, this illustrator, this illustrator.
Mm.
So it seems I wasn't sure if it worked the other way. So with your writing though, because you said you're visual, have you thought about screenwriting?
I have not actually. I've thought about like graphic novels. I was talking to an editor at Allen and Unwin once asking about what that process is like, more so in terms of what happens when an author writes a graphic novel and then they get another illustrator to work on it. Because I'm like, there's not many words. So I was wondering how that looks like. And they were actually telling me that some people write it like a screenplay. It's like, oh, that makes sense. So I haven't thought about writing screenplays, but graphic novels kind of would be a very similar process. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with your career, with everything that you've had to do, because I've seen you at book events as well, do you do school visits, library visits, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I do a few school visits. They're always fun and interesting. You never know, especially the little ones, you never know what they're going to come out with and say to you. And it's always very fun. I haven't done library visits yet, but yeah. I don't know. I enjoy the school visits and going to festivals and things like that. Um, yeah.
How does everyone contact you if they would like you for a school visit or a festival visit?
Just directly, I think they'd find my website or social media or something and contact me. I'm not with any agency or anything at the moment. I might start looking into it more, but just I just take what I can fit in my schedule at the moment. Once I get through the next few books, I should maybe have more time if I don't keep saying yes to things.
Next few books. That sounds like you're going to be busy for a while.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you ever see kids out there with Book Week go as your characters?
Yes, yes, I do. I had a few parents send me pictures last week of them dressed up as little Ash with their tennis rackets and stuff, and it was so cute. I don't know. I wanted to print them out or something, but I was like, that's weird. But I was like, oh, it's so cute.
It must be such an honor to see
Yeah.
your work and to see kids go, I want to go as that. I want to go as that character.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's just never, I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's so weird because the isolating process, and when you see it external outside of my little bubble, I'm like, whoa, what is happening?
And so with being where you're at, what advice could you give for someone who's watching this who would just love to be in your shoes one day?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot. I think I don't know. I think book publishing is like there's some kind of magic algorithm or something that happens with the timing of things. It's right place, right time, right story. It happens. It absolutely can happen, but there's those things that have to line up. And I've spoken to a few publishers about that, and I'm like, it's some kind of magic when it lines up. They're like, it really is this, because it's not just the one person that has to say yes, it's multiple people in a publishing house. Um, I think what worked for me was, right place, right time, coincidentally. Um, but also just unknowingly just sticking to my own lane. I didn't know um, all of the ins and outs of the publishing world, which, there's pros and cons to that. Definitely beneficial to know a lot, but sometimes you don't need to know everything or you don't need to listen to every single person's advice. Just trust your gut, keep sharing the work, keep putting yourself out there. And what is natural and organic to you, be authentic. And I think it will come back around to you. I think if you listen to the noise too much, there'll be a point where you go crazy and start going backwards. You just need to take a breath and go, okay, what do I love? What is my voice? And just keep tinkering away. And I think the magical publishing fairy will find you.
And I think that's how you started. You put your work out there to document your process, not necessarily with the ambition to get signed straight away. So I can see how that has organically happened and how you still have that mindset. You're really just doing what you love, which is
Yeah.
yeah, which is fantastic. And so for those out there who want to follow you, find your work, how do they contact you? How do they find you?
My website is jadegoodwin.com.au and my Instagram is at jd.draws. They're the both best ways to find me. I'm pretty active on my emails and on my Instagram, and I'm always happy to chat.
That's excellent news for anyone out there wanting to contact Jade, learn more about her journey, and also buy her books and see her work. For schools or libraries out there, if you'd like to contact Jade for a visit, I highly recommend her. She's someone who's very approachable. She's very good with kids of all ages, and she's got a lot of knowledge in the industry. So, Jade, thank you so much for joining me today and having a chat. I've really loved hearing about your journey and what you've got going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.